Hello and welcome to the Arkansas Weather Blog. We are your ticket to big weather events. Didn't have any severe weather. If you read my post, big storms are no big deal. It turned out I was cautiously optimistic that those storms would not produce much of anything. The instability was really lacking, thankfully. If we had had sunshine during the morning and afternoon, it would have been a different deal. There would have been a little bit more juice in the air, a little more instability, and it would have gotten those storms going. Now on to our next thing. First of all, I don't want to go too far ahead, and I mentioned that this weekend there's going to be some frost, and it's just a tad late this year, but I think there's going to be patchy frost, and you got to also remember the airport. This is a problem all throughout the United States. You put these sensors where there's a lot of pavement. And it absorbs the heat during the day and holds it at night. So, the airport can be, 37 degrees, and then you go to areas outside, just outside the city in the suburbs where people live, and it's 34 degrees. So that's where the official is kept. And so the outlying areas should be a little bit cooler during these overnight hours this weekend, and I think that there's going to be a frost. Now, on to next week, and I think there is a big. This is a stronger system compared to the past couple we have seen. However, just because it is stronger doesn't mean that it's going to be worse. In some aspects, it could be worse, and I think that aspect is flooding. I think that there's a very strong threat, I should say. This is Thursday, and this is something that's going to happen next Tuesday and Wednesday. So there's a long period of time that we're going to have to watch this and see how it evolves. But when I look at all the data, I see a flooding threat. I see heavy rain being a problem across much of the state, and vegetation has gone dormant, so there could be quite a bit of runoff from this. Now, what you're looking at here is I'm going to show you both the GFS and the European. They both show the same thing, although there are some differences. The GFS hangs this system around a little bit longer, and the European blasts it through here a lot quicker. And the European, if you're to believe the European, there would also be a more of a severe facet to this, whereas the GFS has that, but not quite as much. Now, this is it. You're looking at 500 millibars, which is about 20,000 feet up in the atmosphere. And this is a Tuesday morning of next week, and that is one heck of a low. Centered out here in the Texas Panhandle. And once you know it, I've got to move this over so I can move. Bear with me for just one second. There it is. Now, this is late in the day Tuesday. Now, this is the GFS. Now, this is what the difference is with the GFS. The GFS holds this back a little bit longer, while the European is a little bit more progressive and shoots it through quicker. Eventually, they both lift the system out of here, but they both have the system. There it is, the upper level low over Oklahoma, and there is just an incredible transport of moisture. Again, this is an upper level low, so you have a counterclockwise circulation into that low, and you've got you're on the east side of it, so you have incredible transport of moisture off the Gulf of Mexico. As I always tell kids when I go talk to them at schools, if the Gulf of Mexico didn't exist, we'd likely be a lot drier and probably desert-like. So this is Wednesday morning at 6 a.m., and look where the low still is according to the GFS. All right, so let's fast forward a little bit. There it is still. This is Wednesday afternoon. You see the low is still up here in Kansas. We're still on the east side of it. You're still getting transport, especially out over here. You may get dry slotted in this type of scenario, and I'll show you that in just a little bit. That's why the placement of this is very, very critical to the forecast and why things are going to change. Let me see if I can show you the European at that time. Here's the European at that exact time. So the low is shot up here towards the Great Lakes. See, I got maps all over the place here. There's the GFS at that exact same time. The low's over Kansas. And then the exact same time, the European, the low is over the Great Lakes. So it's a lot of differences as to how this is going to play out. But the bottom line is, even the European has that storm system. There it is Tuesday. It's over central Oklahoma. So it is a heavy rain threat and a severe weather threat as well. Let me go back here to the precipitation. This is the GFS precipitation. So this is Tuesday morning. Surface low over northwest Oklahoma, and what you see here is the amount of precipitation over the previous 6 hours. So this is Monday night to Tuesday morning, and look at the scale here, 2 inches plus across the Red River Valley of Texas, Oklahoma, to northwest Arkansas. And this is what I'm talking about. The placement of that low is very critical. So you have heavy rain going across the state, maybe some strong thunderstorms on Tuesday, and then you get dry slotted. So you get strong southwesterly winds. The cold front's still out towards our west. The fetch of moisture is shifted off towards the east. Now this is going to change. The location and how this plays out is going to change on each and every model run. Do we get dry slotted or not? Do we get a round of heavy rain and then dry out and then have the cold front still out towards our west? Or do we stay in that axis of heaviest rain? Or does this thing just blast through? It's just tough to say right now. And then the low eventually lifts out according to the GFS. Now the European, here we go. This is Tuesday morning, very similar. The low is out here across Oklahoma. You got a lot of heavy rain across the state, and it's not quite as heavy as the GFS. And I tend to believe the European a little bit more just because the GFS does get some convective feedback. So this is at least 1 inch of rain, no matter how you look at it. Just over the previous 6 hours, there's 1 inch of rain. And then all day Tuesday, you get heavy rain. But the surface low is now near southwest Missouri. And back here with the upper low, you're getting some cold rain on the backside of that. But look how it just blasts the whole system through. The cold front comes through, and it lifts towards the north very rapidly. So I think Tuesday is the day that we're going to see some heavy rainfall. How that low lifts out of here and then the cooler air comes in behind it. The timing of that is still in question as to whether that low stays out towards the west a little bit further, how we get dry slotted, where that's going to be, if the low just lifts up towards the northeast. One more thing I wanted to show you. Rainfall amounts. This is according to the GFS. Remember, this does suffer from convective feedback sometimes. So through Wednesday morning, it's showing at least 6 inches of rain across western Arkansas. It may be overdone a little bit here. In eastern Arkansas, it's showing at least 5 inches of rain. In central Arkansas, at least 3 or 4 inches of rain. So you see that fetch of moisture off the Gulf of Mexico shooting right up into the lower Mississippi Valley. Hope I made sense there. 7 minutes into this, so let me just kind of summarize where we are with this. Frost this weekend. I think by Tuesday we see a round of heavy rain. Do we get dry slotted and that low hangs out towards our west and we have some strong southwesterly winds? The GFS hangs that low back a little bit further towards the west while and we wait for it to punch through, while the GFS is a lot more progressive and shooting it up towards the Great Lakes quickly. And as far as both of them have heavy rain, and as far as the severe threat is concerned, the GFS does have a severe element to it, mainly south of Arkansas, but it's there. The European rather does have a little bit more of a look of some more severe weather, but I think regardless of what model you look at, I think it's heavy rain that we're going to have to deal with. So thank you very much for coming to the Arkansas Weather Blog. We are your ticket to big weather events.